So as we are getting started, I would just like to make a couple of quick announcements. One is that it has been a little bit more the Reverend Elizabeth show than I would personally prefer just recently. If you are willing to do some recorded videos of readings and participate in that way in our services, I would very much appreciate having some other faces and voices as we did a little bit in the springtime. So if you want to take advantage of this moment as we get started and send me a quick email if that's something that you would be willing to do. We'll be setting up some times and I'll send you readings if you are interested in participating in that way. And our other special announcement, I just want to mention our UU the Vote group has been getting things rolling. We'll be doing some outreach by cards. There are also opportunities for phone and text banking to help get people signed up to vote and make sure that they know how to get and turn in their ballots. If that's something that interests you, that you have energy behind, you can talk with Eric Barker or our president of the board, Ruth Thomas, to get more details. We'll talk about that a little more next week, but there's no time like the present for getting started. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and settle ourselves in our seats and get ready for our worship. Our opening hymn is Gather the Spirit, and the words will be included on your screen.
Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then, gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit, harvest the power.
Good morning, friends, and welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Indiana, Pennsylvania. I'm the Reverend Elizabeth Mount, and I'm so happy to be welcoming you here to our online space. On behalf of the entire congregation, I want to thank you for tuning in. If you are joining us for the first time, we welcome you to our shared online space. We hope you will subscribe to our YouTube channel, which contains content including guided meditations, poetry, stories for all ages, even songs, very occasionally. You can search for Pastor Elizabeth Mount on YouTube to find our channel. And I want to invite you to turn on or leave on your camera here in the Zoom room if you're comfortable with that. For many of us, seeing each other's faces is an important part of how we feel connected on Sundays. So if you leave that video on, people can see you and enjoy this form of being in community. On Zoom, you'll see a little speech bubble in the middle of your toolbar, right about there below the video screen. It's labeled chat, and you can use that feature for our greetings and for joys and concerns during the service. The First Unitarian Universalist Church of Indiana, Pennsylvania is a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Self-Governing Congregations, united in a web of mutuality that creates our denomination. We have neither creed nor doctrine, but rather teach that all individuals have both the right and the responsibility to discern and follow our own spiritual paths. We come together to support and assist one another on our journeys and to build the beloved community together. I invite you to stay after the service for coffee hour and conversation. It's bring your own coffee since you're at home. I'll open up the microphones at that time so that people can check in about how they're feeling, what's on your minds and hearts. And now, I invite you to take a breath and settle yourself into a spirit of worship.
Can't hear you.
Thank you so much, Dorothy. I left myself on mute. I was just going to say, much as I enjoy having a video of myself so that I get to wear two different color lipsticks in the same service, I would much prefer to see the variety of our congregation, and I'm betting you would too. So if you will email minister@firstuu-indianapa.org and let me know if you're willing to do a welcome, a chalice lighting or extinguishing, a reading, or any other piece of our fall Sunday services. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. And let us begin our worship. Our call to worship comes from the words of Alandria Williams. Alandria passed away just this past week during a heart catheterization. Before that, E had served for several years as one of the co-moderators of the Unitarian Universalist Association, alongside the Reverend Barb Greaves. Alandria was just 41 years old and will be deeply missed. Their words are as follows. We are worthy, not because of what we produce, but because of who we are. We are divine bodies of light and darkness, You are not worthy because of what you offer, not because of what is in your mind, not for the support you give others, not for what you give at all. We are worthy and whole just because. In this great turning, in this great pandemic, in this radical readjustment and alignment, we are not disposable. We are needed. We are the very people that have withstood everything that has been thrown at us as a people. And as Maya Angelou would say, still I rise. We arise from the pain. We arise from the grief. We arise from the limits people place on us and the limits we place on ourselves. We rise to be the children and the ancestors. We rise to be our true selves. Our true selves in relationship to our families and communities, recognizing our liberating and whole selves, honoring them and others as we strive for abundant communities, abundant lives, abundant relationships, and abundant values and cultural manifestations. We are worthiness personified. I and you and we are worthy and deserve a life where we are not always fighting for our existence. Imagine what we could create if we were not always in the struggle. Imagine what we could envision if we could just let go and go there. So tired of always having to resist, to fight, demanding, pushing. To everyone that has the courage, the power, the ability to co-create what we want and need while rooting into what we can't lose and who we are, you are the visionary. You are the hope. You are our ancestors' dreams. No, you might not ever end up on some list somewhere, but you are on a list in someone's heart and mind. And if it's in how you move in the world, so people can see by example, you are the embodiment of what we need. Thanks be to all who are the embodiment not of productivity, but the embodiment of radical love, care, and sanctuary. It's time. Embodiment time. Living one's values out loud. Let me, every day, live my values out loud. Let us, every day, live our values out loud. Embodying our values, not our productivity quotient, beyond productivity, past productivity, true embodiment and life. Let us worship together. And let us speak together the words for our chalice lighting. For every time we make a mistake and we decide to start again, we light this chalice. For every time we are lonely and we let someone be our friend, we light this chalice. For every time we are disappointed and we choose to hope, we light this chalice. If you have a chalice that you would like to light, you may do so at this time. If you're lighting a chalice symbolically or in your heart, that's all right. Either way, you might wish to type in the chat bar where the flame is lit. It's always wonderful to see all the places that folks are tuning in from and lighting their various chalices. Our Time for All Ages is a retelling by Lee Hendricks of a retelling by Eric Kimmel of a Rosh Hashanah story, which is by I.L. Peretz. It's called Even Higher. Whoops. And I'll bring it up in just a moment on a different format. It's decided to be extra fun today. So Zoom has updated and certain things are a little different. And here is our Time for All Ages.
Hi, good morning. In today's Time for All Ages, I'm going to read, or I'm going to tell you a story that takes place around Rosh Hashanah. And Rosh Hashanah is the Jewish New Year, and it just passed. It was just celebrated. And I'm going to read to you from the inside of this book, where it gives a little bit a nice definition of what Rosh Hashanah is. It literally means head of the year in Hebrew. And Rosh Hashanah offers us a chance to reflect on the past year, as well as to hope and plan for the year to come. The holiday also gives us the opportunity to consider who we have been and who we want to be. And I think that's what, in part, this story is about. It is called Even Higher. It's a Rosh Hashanah story by I.L. Peretz, and adapted by Eric A. Kimmel. And you'll see these little Post-its sticking out because I've adapted it a little bit too, to make it just a little shorter for us today. So we'll begin. So the rabbi of Nemirov would disappear every year before Rosh Hashanah. The people believed that before the new year, where God opens the book of life to decide the fate of every living soul, the rabbi went to heaven to beg God to forgive all of the people, forgive every soul. And there was a man a litvak, or a doubter, who did not believe in miracles and did not believe that the rabbi was going to heaven. And so he then followed the rabbi the day before Rosh Hashanah to find out where he was really going. And he saw the rabbi disguise himself in peasant's clothes. And then he went to part of town that wasn't very nice. And he took wood to this old woman who was also sick. And he gave her the wood, even though she didn't have any money to pay for it. And he lit a fire in her fireplace. She felt so much better. And the litvak, the doubter, he saw all of this. And then he understood. He never doubted a miracle again. And when the people would say, the rabbi before Rosh Hashanah had gone up to heaven to talk to God, he would say, maybe even higher. And so the miracle is that there are no miracles, right? Ordinary kindness is enough to save the world. That's the message of this story. And it feels like a really important message for this moment. And I think it makes me think about, a principle of the Jewish faith is to take care of other Jewish people. And then that extends to the world. And there's a really deep history in the United States of Jewish leftist activism, and it's continued. It continues. It's still a huge piece of the activism that happens in this country. And an example of that is this "Never Again is Now" actions that different organizations, Jewish organizations around the country, came together to create in response to the family separations and the camps at the border, and did different kinds of actions in hopes to undermine ICE and undermine their ability to detain people this way, because never again is now. And that is in doing these things and these things for the world and taking care. Jews believe that can bring about tikkun olam, which means the repair of the world. That's a really hopeful thought to me today.
So there you have it. The miracle is each one of us choosing to be of help. At this time in our service, we ask you to pass the peace, to share a blessing or a greeting with one another. We do that in our chat bar. You might say, peace be with you, or namaste, shalom, bright blessings, salam alaikum, or blessed be. Our hymn of response is called Right Here. Words will be in the video.
We traveled long, we traveled far to be right here where we are. Reach out a hand, no need to fear, 'cause all we need is right here. All we need, all we need, all we need is right here. All we need, all we need, all we need is right
And our UU moment today is about John Murray, a Universalist preacher who arrived 250 years ago now, on the shores of New Jersey, where, as we know, many miracles take place. It's true. John Murray is our only miracle story in Unitarian Universalism. And the miracle was that he couldn't get away. You see, his boat had been blown off course, and they found themselves on a sandbar just outside of what is now Murray's Grove. It was at the time Tom Potter's farm, where he had built a small chapel. And Tom Potter said, "I have a place for you if you would be willing to preach." John Murray said, "Oh no, I hope that the winds turn. I left England because I used to be a preacher, but my home was burned, my wife has died, and I have no intention of going back to preaching in this new world." But the wind did not turn. And so John Murray decided to go ahead and preach the first Universalist sermon preached in the United States and the foundation of the Universalist Church in America. He ended up becoming a circuit preacher and planting Universalist congregations all throughout what were to become the 13 colonies and later the original states of the United States. And so it is sometimes. Sometimes miracles aren't the things that happen that are made by God, but the things that happen when, instead of trying to get away from ourselves, we live into who we could be, into our values, and into our courage. At this time, let us be reminded of our values as we speak together the words of our 7 principles. We covenant to affirm and promote these principles as Unitarian Universalists, to honor the inherent worth and dignity of every person, practice justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, accept one another and encourage spiritual growth, support the freedom to search for what is true and right in life, ensure that all have a vote about matters that concern them, work for a peaceful, fair, and free world, and care for planet Earth, the home we share with all living things. Our centering words are not a meditation on the equinox. They are, in fact, The Invitation by Oriah Mountain Dreamer. It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for, and if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing. It doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will risk looking like a fool for love, for your dream, for the adventure of being alive. It doesn't interest me what planets are squaring your moon. I want to know if you have touched the center of your own sorrow, if you have been opened by life's betrayals, or have become shriveled and closed for fear of further pain. I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine or your own, without moving to hide it, or fade it, or fix it. I want to know if you can be with joy, mine or your own. If you can dance with wildness and let the ecstasy fill you to the tips of your fingers and toes, without cautioning us to be careful or be realistic or remember the limitations of being human. It doesn't interest me if the story you are telling me is true. I want to know if you can disappoint another to be true to yourself. If you can bear the accusation of betrayal and not betray your own soul. If you can be faithless and therefore trustworthy. I want to know if you can see beauty even when it is not pretty every day. And if you can source your own life from its presence. I want to know if you can live with failure, yours and mine, and still stand at the edge of the lake and shout to the silver of the full moon, yes. It doesn't interest me to know where you live or how much money you have. I want to know if you can get up after the night of grief and despair, weary and bruised to the bone, and do what needs to be done to feed the children. It doesn't interest me who you know or how you came to be here. I want to know if you will stand in the center of the fire with me and not shrink back. It doesn't interest me where or what or with whom you have studied. I want to know what sustains you from the inside when all else falls away. I want to know if you can be alone with yourself and if you truly like the company you keep in the empty moments. Our centering music is Love Reaches Out. It's by the Sanctuaries, a Unitarian Universalist artistic community based in Washington, D.C. During our centering music, if you have joys or sorrows that you would like to share and have included in the pastoral prayer, you may type them in the chat bar.
In the rain, blinded, I'll show you that way back home. But don't you worry, 'cause I've been with you all along.
Oh, I ain't worried, 'cause I can feel it, 'cause I can feel it. Yeah, they said it's hard to really see it and the reason why we living. Don't chase it with your eyes, can recognize it till it's given. The world in front of me became the molding of my vision. The pain that came to me is what I blame in my decisions. How can I find the courage when my heart is feeling missing? How do I find a time when I know that the clock is ticking? I'm a soldier for this love, is guaranteed to be my mission. Wish I could find it easy like I see it in the children. Hey, looking back as I move forward, Sankofa, I want a love that explodes, call it a supernova. What it takes to reach the heavens, let me stand closer. Put the pieces all together, witness Jehovah. God is patient with his son, he plant the seed and let it grow. When I love it unconditional, I learn to let it go. Open your arms, what I'm talking about. Without a doubt, I can feel the love reaching out.
Love reaches out. My love reaches out. Love reaches out. Love reaches out.
My love reaches out.
Love
Can you feel it?
reaches out.
Yeah. I'm never giving up, I'm keeping cool, I'm in control. My praise, I give it up, a higher power's in control. This light is guiding me, I'm armed with everything I know. This love is getting closer, I can feel it in my soul. Long as I am living, I still got the time to show the patience that was given from the ones that let me grow. Forgive me for debating back and forth, to and fro. This love is reaching out, I'm giving it to you and yours. Walk with me in solidarity. My sanctuary eases my disparity. When I look into your eyes, I'm looking carefully. What do you know? There is me. No more questioning the things that I can never see. touch, taste, smell, hear, no more mystery. Just a faith that's stronger than my pain and misery. I found it in myself and it will forever be. The breath of love that gave me the breath of life. A breath of lost spirits, give it back and I energize. If I never take another, let my voice come and speak it out. And give you the feeling of love reaching out.
Love reaches out.
Yes, it does.
My love reaches
And I can feel it, I can feel it, I can feel it. Hey.
reaches out. My love reaches
Can you hear it? Can you hear it? Can you hear it now?
reaches out.
Oh yes, it does.
My love reaches
Can you
out.
feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Hey.
My love reaches out. My love reaches
Can you hear it? Can you hear it? Can you hear it now?
Love can change you, let it grow. The seeds will reap the love you sow. Fill your heart till it explodes, and love can take over your soul. Love opens doors without a key. It falls through patience and honesty. Trust love and just let it be. Feel the power of love between you and me. Between you and me. Between you and me. Feel the power of love between you and me. Love
Sing it
reaches
loud.
out. My love reaches out. Reaches out.
Yes, it does.
My love reaches
Can you
out.
feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it now?
Reaches out. My love reaches out.
Can you hear it? Can you hear it? Can you hear it now?
My love reaches out. Love reaches out. Reaches
Love reaches
out.
out.
When it's cold outside, my love gonna reach out and warm your soul.
And now, let us join hearts and minds together in a spirit of prayer. Spirit of life, spirit of love, creator of the paths between us. We gather in community to share sorrows and burdens, that they may be lightened in the telling, to share joys, that they may be amplified by their existence in our many hearts. This week, this year, has been a hard one. For deaths of those near and far from us, may we hold one another's hearts in tender care. Those who sit with the sorrow of the death of Dr. Deb McClary Conklin. She is a local veterinarian and passed away from cancer just this week. Let us honor her memory. Further from us, yet no less painful by the distance, Alandria Williams, co-moderator of the Unitarian Universalist Association, passed away during a heart catheterization this week. And we also remember and continue to mourn the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Supreme Court Justice, who died in this space between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, a time when it is said that the righteous are inscribed in the book of life if they pass during this time. May we honor their memories as well. And may we hold in our hearts all of the family of Breonna Taylor grieving at the lack of justice in Louisville this week. And lift up our prayers for the Unitarian Universalist Church in Louisville. They have been offering sanctuary space, food, love, opportunities for shared worship, grief, and anger. And they have experienced such hatred online. May we hold in our hearts the courageous people within and beyond that church who are maintaining that space and keeping it safe and open despite the persecution of those who would have us bow to empire, remain quiet when there is injustice. For all that there is hardship and anger and sorrow in our world, let us also hold room for gratitude for those whose health issues are resolving or who are holding their own. Let us give thanks. And for all those whose health issues have come to them again this week. For Mark's little sister in Kansas who tested positive for COVID. For all those struggling with this disease and the ongoing, slow rolling tragedy of this pandemic. May we hold one another in care. And may we know that outside, the world rolls on. The birds are singing more vibrant songs in cities with less traffic now. We know that nature continues to be a blessing. We know that our communities continue to be strong. We lift up the joy that the Ligonier Church was able to gather yesterday for a socially distanced in-person time, and hold the hope that we will gather in Indiana on October 10th. We look forward to seeing one another three-dimensional in the flesh. So for all the blessings of our lives, the hope which yet exists, may we be truly grateful for the beauty of the earth, the changing seasons, the flowing gift of life. May we give thanks. May we in this space each week find comfort and strength and healing, and may we be filled with peace. Blessed be, and amen. Today, our service includes a moment for online giving. And our giving goes in this month of September to UU the Vote, which is standing up for the democratic process itself. We hope that you will give generously for the work within and beyond the walls of this church.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and by this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and by this we live.
The time between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is often noted as a waiting time, a liminal space where we stand on the threshold between the old year and the new. Tonight and tomorrow will be the end of the high holy days that mark the Jewish New Year. And it is a time to reflect on what has happened in the year before beginning again in love. The way that the holidays are often explained is that God opens the book of life on Rosh Hashanah to begin inscribing the names of all people for the coming year. On Yom Kippur, God will close the book of life again, the readiness for the year to come being decided. But in that in-between space, on that threshold, we are given an opportunity to reflect, to seek forgiveness, to offer apologies for what is done or undone. It is an opportunity to offer charity as well. A time for making oneself in the image of what we hope to be for the year to come. But in Judaism, I want to be clear, the book of life is not a heaven or hell kind of thing. It's not Santa Claus's naughty or nice list. You're not being checked off for the worlds to come. Judaism doesn't have a solid consensus about whether or not there is a world to come, who might go to such a place, how it might look. When we open this holiday, when we say that God has opened the book of life, what is meant is that in this world, we are being chosen. We are being asked to make of ourselves a more beloved community, a more loving community. And so this Rosh Hashanah story by Eric Kimmel is an apt one. The rabbi doesn't fly up to heaven to say, oh, yes, that one. Oh, no, not that one. Oh, yes, please. This one's pretty good, only a little cracked. The rabbi does the healing of the world, offering firewood, the joy of a dance, some warmth in the life of someone who perhaps is not as seen the rest of the year. The rabbi begins, as all of us should mean to go on, noticing and fixing a problem while maintaining the dignity of the person who needs a bit of help. This is the core message of Even Higher. It's the core message of this holiday, that we are worthy, that we can bind up the world. Tikkun olam. As Ed mentioned, it does mean repair from brokenness, but also healing. The sense is that the world is a living thing that we can help to thrive. And as Unitarian Universalists, we are descended from those who believed we are already loved and saved for the next world. What we do in this world is to repay that blessing of love by loving one another, by loving the world, until we cannot have a hell on earth because we refuse it. Because we, the dreamers, the broken and redeemed like John Murray, those who recommit to the work again and again, who believe in one another's inherent worth. We are the descendants of those ancestors, and we are those who will make this place salvation for one another. Not future reward, but here and now. This time last year, I had just returned to my congregation from the installation of a dear colleague in West Virginia. And Elandria Williams was the person who gave that sermon. There's a lot of resonance still in this year, because what Elandria was talking about there, what I then spoke about in last year's Rosh Hashanah sermon, was about fires. Fires in the Amazon, in California, in the coal seams of Appalachia, which burn for decades below the earth, and the metaphorical fires destroying pieces of our society around us. There are all those fires. Last year and still this year, they continue to burn higher than ever. And Elandria's words are present in my heart this week with their death. But what I recall, what is the most important piece of Elandria's sermon, and what I want to share with you this week, is that what matters is that we can stand with each other in front of those fires, to be with one another, to save what can be saved, to fix what can be fixed. And when it cannot be fixed, to be with one another still in grief and sorrow and rage. To let it be okay to be a people with feelings. To let it be okay to not be resolved, or peaceful, or joyous. To be in unfinished space, but in community, not alone. We are worthy of a community who loves us. And we are more together than we ever can be alone. And so today and every day, as we emerge from that space in which the book of life is open, the world is unplanned yet, and we don't know the end of any story. Perhaps we are the doubter, but perhaps we can be the teacher who does what needs to be done to repair one more thing. Let us be imperfect. Let us need forgiveness. And let us be worthy. For we are always worthy, not because of what we do, but because we are ourselves. So this Yom Kippur, this Rosh Hashanah, let it be a time of blessing and a time to pause and a time to grow and become stronger and more resilient, to consider life, to enjoy something sweet and beautiful, to hold the pain that is not yet healed in each of us, and to renew our patience, our courage, our fortitude. For the year to come is the doorway to a new adventure, and we must step through it, wherever it may take us. Blessed be, one and all. Our closing hymn is Soon the Day Will Arrive, and it's arranged by Leah Morris. The words will be on your screen.
ילדים בחופשה ישחקו תופסת בין הבית לבין השדות. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה.
Soon the day will arrive when we will be together, and no longer will we live in fear. And the children will smile without wondering whether on that day thunder clouds will appear. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Some have dreamed, some have died to make a bright tomorrow, and their vision remains in our hearts. Now the torch must be passed with new hope and not in sorrow, and the promise to make a new start. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and
So now, let us extinguish our chalice flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These may we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go in peace and in love, and let the fire of your commitment burn brightly all the days of your life. Amen.